The other day, I was scrolling around YouTube when I came across a video by the YouTuber named Vervian. They were ranking Terraria AI generated weapon ideas. Without actually watching the video, it gave me an idea. What if you could make an entire Terraria weapon with just AI? First, I started by asking ChatGPT for an idea. The idea it gave me was quite interesting. It was called the Echo Loom. It's a post-planetary magic weapon. To craft it, you need 20 silk, 12 ectoplasm, 10 souls of night, 8 hollowed bars, and 6 crystal shards. It had an interesting gimmick, though. The Echo Loom shoots out a projectile, and on hit, it sends two threads to seek out other enemies. Once attached, they do a series of pulses. It also had an alt fire, but I removed it since it was a bit confusing. It was around now that I watched Vervian's video, and I couldn't help but notice that in his video, ChatGPT made a very similar weapon. It came up with the Luminant Tether, which had a very similar pulse mechanic. They also mentioned that it would always make a post-planetary weapon, and most of the AIs used hollowed bars in the recipe. I decided to stick with ChatGPT for the code. After giving it the details, it wrote around 250 lines of code for 3 scripts. But before I could build the mod, I had to first make textures. To do this, I gave Copilot the details and asked it to make a pixel art image. Unfortunately, AI is not great at making pixel art, so it gave me this. I had to quickly redraw it very sloppily into real pixel art. I repeated this with the projectile, and the item was ready. Except not really. See, AI is really good at using outdated code or just making new things up. So, when I compiled the mod, I was met with an error. Now, I probably could have debugged ChatGPT's code on my own pretty quickly, but I thought may as well see how well AI can debug AI's code. To do this, I used GitHub Copilot to fix every error that came up. Surprisingly, it did fairly well, fixing it every time with only a few exceptions. After about 20 to 30 minutes of inputting the error and implementing the result, it finally built the mod. Immediately, I noticed a few things I wanted to fix. First, the projectiles were far too small, and I didn't like that they spun. So I manually fixed them, and now we can finally see if the weapon works. Overall, I think the AI did a pretty good job at making a Terraria weapon. I don't know if those lines are meant to be there, but I actually like them, so. Now, I'd like to move on and see how balanced is this weapon actually. Overall, I'd say the weapon's fairly balanced as a crowd control weapon. At first, it seems like you're not doing that much damage, but that final burst can do a lot of damage. I decided to compare it to the rainbow gun, since they're both kind of support crowd control. I actually think the weapon ended up being quite balanced because when I compared it to other weapons of a similar tier, it did pretty well at having a good DPS but not a too good DPS. It also does take some effort to get because you do have to get ectoplasm, but I could see it being a very helpful weapon for the events and for potentially even Golem. Before you click off, I highly encourage you to watch Vervian's video with a similar topic. His video is much better than mine because he actually makes the weapons so they turn out much better. And don't forget to please subscribe because this is a very tiny channel and I want to make some better videos in the future.